Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you to all those that like my videos and been sharing, and to all my subscribers, thank you so very much. Um, Having said that, I have a poem today that I had written about a couple of years ago, and it's kind of like about my past, starting from like my high school years to just maybe about 12 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere around there. And this is what I had in my heart at the time when I wrote this. Um, and this one doesn't have a title either, but like I said, it doesn't take away the value of it. And I'll just be telling you guys a little bit about some more about me and my testimony. And I get kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone, but just to know that my story, sharing my story, even though sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, just knowing that it could help save and inspire and encourage just one person to allow them to feel like they're not alone, I feel like I've done my job. So I just encourage you all to do the same. We none of us are exempt from mistakes, from sins. None of us are exempt. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. We've all made mistakes. So I think it's when we can acknowledge that and come to Christ and ask for forgiveness and are able to move on and learn from our mistakes, that we can truly help others and help build others, share our story, help encourage others. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm here in front of you all, is just to do just exactly that through a gift that God has given me through my poetry. And here we go. So, I remember when you took my hand, I then began to understand. You pulled me to my feet. I would fall back to my knees, one foot in front of the other. Baby steps I took, assuring me you would not let go. Beside me is where you stood. I began to walk faster. Then one day, I ran so fast, I began to pass you by. The next moment, I realized I didn't feel you by my side. I wandered here and there, but didn't call out your name. I felt so all alone, and I was so afraid. The light began to fade, and darkness settled in. Is he looking for me? I began to ask myself again. Maybe he doesn't love me. Maybe he gave up. All these things run through my mind. Am I going to die? Hungry and thirsty, I began to walk a little farther, accepting what anyone had to offer. So hungry, thirsty, cold, and afraid, on my knees, I began to pray. I heard someone call my name. I look up and see a hand. I reach out, you reach in. Never do I want to let go again. A smile was on his face, rejoicing that I came home that day. So this, God is with us always. This poem was kind of like when I began to deviate from God. And of course, like, he never leaves us. He's always there. It's us that goes away from him, and we start to feel alone. And Satan starts to put things in our mind, these thoughts that you're not loved, that you're not worthy, that you're so far gone that you can never get back, or that God can never forgive you. But that's not true. Those are all lies from Satan. And this poem I had written 2 years ago. And yes, it does kind of reflect some of the things that I went through, from high school and on. But that was a time that I felt like I was maybe not so close to God, and starting to deviate. And we feel alone, and we feel hungry and thirsty, for something and for things, but mainly it's for God, because all these things, no matter what it is, materialistic, people, they can never fulfill you the way that God can, that only God can. And so let me just start back a few years. So in high school, um, I always considered myself a good person. I came from a good family, a loving family, a very loving family, you know, a very supportive family as well. And it just always felt, even though I had so much love, you know, from people from here in this earth, I just felt like I was still missing some kind of love, something. I couldn't at then put um, I couldn't then acknowledge what that was. So I went along searching, thinking that, okay, maybe it was a guy, maybe it was their love from a male that I was seeking attention for, a boyfriend or whatnot. So when I realized that it wasn't that, that there was more, you know, I started feeling more empty. I started dating and not even seeing the red flags from those dates. All I wanted was love, you know. I just still felt so alone. Um, and but you really couldn't tell on the outside because I seemed to pretty have it pretty well and held together from the outside. But really inside, I just felt kind of broken and lost and alone. Even though I had so many people around me, you know, so many friends, I still felt that way. And I know why I felt that way, but at the time I didn't. So I was very doubtful person. Very doubtful. I had negative thoughts, to the point where I would, you know, doubt that God even existed at times, even though we grew up on a foundation of believing in God, saying our prayers every night, saying our prayers before we ate. I still felt like, well, is this real? Can this be real? You know, how am I feeling this way? I don't feel God, you know? And so I did start to doubt. I started to doubt if he loved me, of whether he cared, or if he was real. You know, it's because I didn't give my life to God. I didn't have that relationship with God. I just knew about him. And so um, I knew what I was supposed to do right. You know, I knew what was right. I knew what was wrong. But at that time, I didn't have the conviction of the Holy Spirit. So I was not, I was really not, you know, convicted inside. Um, and I thank God because later on, you know, I did come to know God, but it was just such a difficult time for me at that time. So I had felt like I was so gone, so far gone, and had made so many mistakes that, um, you know, I didn't know who I was anymore. Like I said, all I knew is that I wanted to be a good mom for my daughter, and I wanted to, you know, be a good representation, to never give up, you know, to keep going. So I wanted more, and I decided one day, you know, in the bathroom, just breaking down crying, you know, just asking for direction, you know, taking to God, you know, for something more. And I was so desperate. It shouldn't be to where it's the end that we call out to God, but for me it was. So I was so desperate for something more, to change and to be good, that I decided to go to church. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to church. And at that time, I was thinking about going to a Catholic church. But what's funny about that is, well, not really funny, but the thing is that my mother-in-law had been going to a Christian church, and she had invited us, but before I was like, oh, I don't really need to go, you know, I don't know how I'm gonna like it, if I'm gonna feel comfortable there, and all these excuses. But at this time, I was so desperate that I decided, yes, this is something that I'm gonna do. So I started going to church. Honestly, at first, it was quite hard to even clap. You know, at the music, it was hard to clap. It was kind of hard to be there because it was something so unfamiliar to me. I mean, we had visited churches when I was younger, but they never really felt like home. I never really felt comfortable there. But this place was different. You know, this place felt like home. This church felt like home. It was surrounded by all these loving people and so much love that it was kind of awkward too. But it grew on me, and there I grew. You know, there I grew and started letting go of the chains. Starting to change. You know, internally. Um, I had decided to give my life to Christ, something that I had not done before, you know, but I felt that it was right. And when I gave my life to Christ, um, nothing was ever the same. Inside, I felt so much peace and so much love towards people that I never had before. I can't even explain it, because unless you've been there, unless you've have experienced this, something so amazing, you can't even really describe it. And I have so much more love for people. And I what was a little hard for me was still the guilt I had inside, and the forgiveness that I needed to give to other people and to ask for forgiveness. But I eventually overcame that, and once I overcame that, I felt like this heavy weight had been lifted off of me. I felt like I was coming back, like what the person that was deep down in there that had gotten lost was now found. And Jesus just reconstructed me into the person that he knew I was all along, that he hadn't given up on me. I had just been so far away and so blind to be able to see, his love and his mercy, his grace over me since before I was ever born. And I just thank him every day for that. Every day I thank God, that I'm alive, that my family's alive, that we're healthy, that he fixed our marriage, and so many other things that like it would take lots and lots of time to tell you everything, because I think even if I did tell you everything that was in my mind, there would still be so many other things that he's done. But I had to take steps. This wasn't just an easy, like, oh, I give my life to Christ and everything's going to be okay. No, yes, no, and yes. Yes, it is going to be okay, because once you put your trust in God, like, you're protected. Satan he doesn't have the authority over you that he once did. And it's hard though, it is hard, but it's worth it, and it's worth the sacrifice. It's worth everything, because he is everything. He's creator. He is everything. He is life. And once you know the truth, that truth shall set you free. And the steps that I took, the steps that we need to take, to have that relationship with Christ, is just, knowing that God loves you, knowing that God so loved you, that he loved you so much that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him and receives him into their heart shall not perish but have everlasting life. And this life there's nothing here, there's not really anything in this life. It's not even a pinch compared to what it will be like in heaven, forever. This life is short. Heaven is forever. We have to think to ourselves sometimes, that we're not going to be here forever. That's one thing that's not promised, is time. We don't know how much time that we have. We're not promised tomorrow. So there is a time to think about, okay, is this the day? Because this is the day. Every day is a perfect time to think about giving your life to Christ. To know that we all sinned, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We all have made mistakes, and church is not the perfect place for perfect people. Okay, it's not a place that welcomes imperfect people. It's like a hospital for the brokenhearted, for the injured, but spiritually, mentally, in all aspects. Because I know I was one of those broken people, but going into that hospital church, God put me back together. And not to say that I don't make mistakes, but the mistakes that I made, I feel convicted and I ask forgiveness and I'm healed. I'm made better. It's like when you put a band-aid like on a scratch and it heals and you can take it back off, you're healed again. Having opposed to before Christ, it just builds and builds and builds inside, because there's nobody to take away that. There's nobody to take that heaviness away from you, because you haven't committed to serving God yet. Number 3 is Jesus just acknowledging, that no one can go through the Father but through Jesus. He said he is the way, the truth, and the life, and the only way to God, the Father, is through him. And once you believe that and receive it, you're good, but you got to receive it wholeheartedly with all your heart, and you will see God do miracles in your life. I can promise you that. Your eyes will be opened. Nothing will be the same. I can say that nothing will be the same, but in a good way. And to trust Jesus, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe it with all your heart, that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. And that's an amazing thing. I mean, what other promises, what other truth in this life? There is none. But God promises us that. And that is the truth. Like I said, the truth shall set you free. And I remember something really quick. I remember having given our life to Christ. Had just recently, my husband and I had given our life to Christ right before we got married. And I remember going on our honeymoon, and this was in Rosarito, Mexico. That's some of the places, that's a place that we used to go clubbing, go to the clubs over there and whatnot. But I remember, because it's a party over there. It doesn't matter if it's day or night. So we were on the beach, just enjoying ourselves, when all of a sudden, I heard this awkward sound, and it sounded like, the best way that I could describe it was like people screaming for help. It was almost sounding like they were being tortured. It was this awful sound. It felt like it sounded like it was from hell or something, like demons or this people crying out in agony. And I turned over, but it was not. I felt like the voice was coming from the people that were just yelling, or not so much yelling, but just having fun in one of the outside clubs. And I thought it was just me, and so I told my husband, I'm like, did you hear that? And he's all, yeah. So it's amazing. Before, I couldn't hear that. I was actually in that. We were in the crowd, and I couldn't hear that. But when I gave my life to Christ, it was like my ears were opened, my eyes were opened spiritually, and so I could hear things that I couldn't hear before. I could hear that as a torture, as an agony, to make me want to reject it and not want to be part of that crowd. As before, it was like nothing. It was fun. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's amazing what God can do, and it's just amazing. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that it's a wonderful gift, a gift that we don't deserve, salvation. We don't deserve it, but by his grace, by his loving hand, he gives it to us freely. All those that are willing to accept Jesus into their hearts, to ask for forgiveness, to repent from their ways, and to want to do better in life, to want to live and to serve God. Because I don't regret it. I just regret not having done it sooner. But like I said, everything happens for a reason. I'm here to share my testimony, and I hope that all of you guys, will do that too, to get out of your comfort zone too, that there is hope. And once you get better, share your testimony with others, help others, because there's so many people that feel alone, that feel broken, and that feel in pieces, that don't have Christ. I mean, if I have Christ right now, and I still make mistakes, but after praying, after giving it to God, I feel better. I can only imagine those people that doesn't have Christ, which I was there also, feeling all alone, feeling like they have nobody. But this is to tell you, you're not alone, and you do have somebody. You have God that's been with you the whole entire time. He formed you in your mother's womb. He has a perfect plan for you, plans to prosper and not harm, to give you hope and a future. If you will just take him into your heart, and put all your trust in Jesus. So I just thank you guys. I hope that you all take care, stay well, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.